My dear friends, hello. It's been a long time since an Emile lesson. I think today is a Brahms lesson. Opus 116, number 5, Intermezzo in E minor, interrupts the silences, or the silences are interrupted by music. I got so emotional that my foot slipped off the pedal and made this terrible noise. I'm so sorry. How goofy and silly life can be. We try to reach the high levels and then boom. But nevertheless, we attempt, like Sisyphus, climb, climb, drop, climb, climb, drop. I find it fascinating and truly emotionally moving that a composer, a human, far from us in time, in space, perhaps close to us in spirit, but that's our kinship, our choice. The reader, the writer, the character, the dreamer, the reality, or perhaps a combination of daydream and reality. Brahms wrote these intermezzi at the end of his life. So much regret, so much. He used to call them pain for his late years, but I think that it doesn't matter to describe too much, it's to hear. Is there a upbeat or is it a downbeat? Should I be more explicit and explained by the playing? Perhaps it's too clear. Perhaps it's not enough mysterious left by Brahms to becoming just sort of like floating. I find it fascinating because in the notation all the music thoughts are squarely arranged by equal bars of equal beats. And in fact, when you hear it, it's barless. It's the expression of anxiety or sigh. It could be both. And these rests are like catching your breath to continue the short breath of your sighs while telling your sorrow or your story. I want to tell you how much this or that or this. And it incrementally rises by step, but he writes piano dolce andante con grazia et intimissimo sentimento. Okay, as if it's not obvious, Johannes. And this eighth note rest that interrupts the music, or that the music interrupts the silence from before into the after, before the birth and after the death, and this intense short two notes, of which one is harmonized and the other one is empty. It's not, and nor is it. Johannes, why did you choose to do that? So you harmonically charge the upbeat, which is supposed to be weak, and the downbeat, which is supposed to be strong, is empty, as if resonant of some kind of ghost. almost tempted to hear an unhearable note during the rest. Of course not. Not too explicit, everything has to be so elliptic. So there is no downbeat, there is no upbeat, there is no harmonization, there is no melody, there are interrupted sighs. But then they're connected through their interruptions, if I may. And I think the sounds have to appear from the silence as indicible, almost unheard, almost as if whispered. He tells us so much about the human soul. With more res than notes. And the fact that the pedal should not overlap to let the residue resonance happen, because then it will be... And after almost 8 bars, he finally, at the coda of that first section, starts holding all the sounds, no more interruptions of the sighs. And then immediately in the second ending, he tries to expand on that legato with everything holding compared to the everything interrupting earlier, fragmented. And a major minor, overlapping, bittersweet. Chromatic and rising, but not, he does me. He doesn't follow the intuition. No, Emile, he doesn't need to do that, and that's why I have to do what he writes. The greats don't do what you expect, and they surprise you with less or more, banal or striking, but in a balance that is unique to them, that makes you feel at the end the combination of it is life. Hope, decay, or both. Again, interrupted. Dropping chromatically, major, minor, not totally major. I think in interpretation, those 8th note rests, Johannes, allow me to make them shorter every time we get closer to the hope or further into the decay or the disappointment. Perhaps those 8th note rests are not to be notated so evenly as you did. Perhaps they are meant to be different length according to the psychological innuendo in the untold. This longer. It's a psychological rhythmicity, a pulse. Hope, major and rising. that's exactly what I don't agree, because this ending is like just to end. It shouldn't end. It should be open-ended. It should remain in this limbo that is so amazingly modern for his time, and he just finishes it with this beautiful rhythmic ritenuto. Sorry for the confusion of the term. Stretching the time and almost solace reassurance. I mean, why not? After all, it's human. And who am I to decide the better end for it? I'm nobody and he's everything. Why not? Immediately, cheesy, bad. Digression. Who am I? Nothing. Who is he? Everything. One almost feels the need to bridge over those rests as if they are there but in denial and not fully implemented, like interruptions. Of course, they are written, notated, but I think they're more like sighs that are interrupted, and some of them perhaps unevenly. Perhaps I can try again to find a meaningful, to find what meaning he had in mind, or in whole, or in part, in detail, or in the completion of this combination of archipelagos of sighs, or a puzzle in the disorder, like life. Perhaps that's what it is, an analogy. I'm full of analogies, but sometimes they drive me crazy because they drive me away from the message. But what is your message, Johannes? Except that it's none, just whatever we make of it. How can I define when the student asks how much crescendo? It's too much if I decided to say, but who is to decide? Johannes should say. He says crescendo diminuendo, but doesn't say how much. So perhaps it should be more, then it's too dramatic. And if you add accelerando, then my God, it's out of the stylistic rule of the time, but perhaps his was already outside of the rules. 2, 5. Oh, and this diminished third, around the note that he doesn't play, but he avoids, as he cannot name what is meaningful and not, but in between and around. Perhaps the meaning of it, Johannes, is that there is hope after the anxiety. But it's like an echo of a conversation with oneself and one's own truths. Cannot lie to yourself. Should not. Forte, or his publisher wrote Forte. And what is Forte for Brahms's piano? It's not like today's big coffins that are done to project for thousands. Perhaps it was a mezzo forte, it's a forte of an inner explosion in the heart, and not something extroverted like a high point. No climax. You see, there are more questions that are raised every minute. I look at it more, I play it more, I think it more, I love it more, I try to understand it more. If not, I try to get closer to the emotional meaning of it more than intellectual explanation. Regardless, teaching it, playing it, hoping it, imagining it, dreaming it, perhaps it's unrealistic to even try to reach it. It's perhaps meant to be purposely left to its, like philosophers answer with a question, to leave it mysterious. I find that to be the truth, and perhaps that's why That way, that's why, in that way, the ending is so solacing. It's short, intense and dense, but at the same time it's also lifelong. It's like an experience that is incredibly intense or incredibly diluted. And of course, the more you repeat it, the more you restart it, the more you dig into it, to understand who, what, how, who, where do you place yourself, how you remain humble, how do you answer what it calls for you, it rises you towards the whatever it is. There's no lyrics, but it's better because there are no lyrics. So perhaps the lyrics would have locked us into one way of thinking, and perhaps even with lyrics we can think in different layers of meanings. And that's what in harmonic modulations do, and middle sections come for. I adore Brahms's middle sections because they're meant as meaningful as the A sections and not the other something shows section. In the sixth intermezzo of the same Opus 116, this could have been the A section, so much is meaningfully beautiful. Sinks in the middle, like a secondary voice, or the other voice, the voice of consciousness, and then again on top, in a dialogue. Leftover of the resonance of the sound of the hope remains. But the A section is a chorale. I wonder if one day one shouldn't play the B section as an A section twice, and the A section, which comes twice with the A prime, as a B section. It would be incredibly interesting to look at it upside down, inside out. To even suggest that I should, as a teacher, think only to serve the text faithfully, not think outside of the box. Because in this way the solace comes and then there is the turmoil, and the opposite is, the truth is that then the turmoil starts, then you have a solace in the middle. Johannes, why not, huh? B-A-B, A-B-A? Or should I just shut up? Who am I? Nobody. You, everybody. Everything. Also, the fact that in his A section, there is the melodic line of the top by several groupments of repeated notes, almost like sang changes of syllables. I like to tell you. But melodically repeated notes, charged with meaning, and then upbeat again, which not clearly indicated to be so, without hairpin after the first hairpin, so not guessable, and the second time with a hairpin, and the third and fourth time rather with a subito. Each time you go through the path of the two bars, you have the duality, hope and answer, and then, but it answers differently the first time, second time, third time, and fourth time. And where is the melody? Okay, it's on top. What about the tenor? Except stems up and down, Johannes doesn't say which one is the lead. Is there a lead? Is there a follower? Are they just at the same time? And the bass? Mysterious fourths that are nor major nor minor, the chromatic tenor rising and being expressive with a hairpin or without after, in the soprano, and the tenor in dialogue and the chords. In fact, you don't know what to bring, and perhaps you should bring nothing out, just play everything at the same. But then it's too faded, and if you start doing or the bass, or all of the above, but all inside instead of extroverted outside. It's the quality of the legato that is more meaningful than the dynamic levels of bringing out or bringing down. The accacciatura from under is a sense of struggle, and then the descent is the acceptance of our condition, and then again trying to rise. The chromaticism is the struggle, I think, and the descent, like in a chorale saying, all will be right once we end back to the earth from which we come. Oh, my foot constantly slips away. Sorry for these noises. I'm so ashamed. It's almost as if this flow of major happiness, almost like these flowers and these perfumes and this beauty and this grace and this meaning are too good to be true, and he interrupts it. Sorry for the B sharp earlier, be natural. And back to the daydream, or the alternative reality. Teach the meaning of interpretation, which means by any chance nothing more than translation. But I think if it's translation, that it has a primary meaning and then a secondary meaning that it acquires after the translation, or lost in translation, or gaining in translation, or perhaps becoming something else in translation, like transcription. Major, minor, voice out, voice in, chromaticism, or just without that? It's almost like a short-lived hope, and it's interrupted by the return of the chorale, as if the steps are the acceptance of the flow of things. And then the forte, almost like as a revolt of the human nature. No, I don't want mortality, but you have to accept it. That's when the his B section comes, so almost reassuring. 2 against 3, everything cascades down. F minor. He uses just the common tone, G sharp naked, to return to this. This I know why Johannes did. It's so beautiful, meaningful, fulfilling by its emptiness. Let me try to play all legato. The conclusion of the A prime is B. Sorry for this E. Sometimes the emotion overtakes me and my finger goes in the wrong note. Should be ashamed, my teacher. Oh, mademoiselle. It's not the dinachos, it's a C double sharp, because if not, it wouldn't go chromatically, but through the beats in a hemiola stretched, and the 2 against 3 to make it loose, but then hemiola in the major 9th is to say, it's okay, it was good, it cannot be forever. Every note is like a drop or a tear that falls exactly where it has to create that sense of balance and hope and despair. It could be perpetually replayed. In fact, it is, because once you finish playing it, you hear it. It sort of echoes in waves inside you, and it makes you, cradles you like your soul, perhaps after death or before birth, or who knows, or just these moments of happiness in majors, short-lived but so meaningful, so pure, so intense, so unadulterated happiness. And again, the step by step of the flow of things. Only you know, Johannes, with Bach, obviously, how to make dissonances that are purposely painful and cold and warm dissonances, the consonances of yesterday, the dissonances of the day. What is consonant, what is dissonant is all how you look at it, how you feel about it. What is a cold and warm dissonance? I spend my life teaching, rationalizing these irrational things, which are in fact not to be explained, not to be named, not to be defined. And at the same time, when you teach, you have to show this voice, this breath, this phrasing, this overlapping, this harmonic innuendo, this diminuendo, this rest that in fact is not a rest, it's a pregnant rest of the hope that is bridging to the, and then decay. I know it's cheesy in words to say, and I don't have the vocabulary of a writer, and mais bon, what can I say? Thank you to all and each of you.